Welcome back to PDGA coverage of the 2021 Amateur Disc Golf World Championships. This coverage provided by Fox Hills. We are in the Orlando area. Specifically today, we'll be at River City Nature Park, the alpha course on the short pin locations. It's Grant Zellner and Jennifer Allen on the mic as we watch the lead card of Nathan, Deledda, Craig Wesnofske, Sammy Navarre, and Ben Boyter. You're looking at hole number 1, 257 feet. Par 3 playing into a well-guarded circle 1.
Yeah, it looks like a straightforward hole to get started on, though. Just tuck back in there a little bit. Can we go ahead and just say it right now? Have you ever seen anyone playing flip-flops, especially World Championships? Can we just get that out of the way?
Let's just get that right out of the way.
Just get that out of the way.
That was Nathan, by the way, sporting the flip-flops. Here's Craig.
Looks like Sammy's drive's going to turn a little bit too much for him. Hopefully he can punch around that grouping before the basket.
And finally, Ben on the tee.
That looks like a really clean forehand.
Yeah, Ben. Nice shot.
A couple of players today with sidearm games.
And here's another little sidearm.
Oh, the sidearm half go putt.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And birdie.
Make that a full go putt.
Oh, yes.
Look at that.
I don't know if
Barely
he
any
would've-
chains.
I don't know if he would have needed those chains.
No, barely any.
Just dunked it.
It's a fun way to start the round. Craig says, I want to try. Same spot, same shot.
Nathan's still away. No problem. Yeah, you're right about the flip-flops, Jen. I actually, when I learned disc golf initially, I was at a summer camp where we wore Chaco sandals just about 24/7, and I got very used to it for a time. If you ask me now to go out and play in anything but, a certain type of shoe, I wouldn't feel very comfortable doing it. But, I was at one time comfortable throwing in sandals.
But Velcroed sandals, right? That would stay on your feet?
They strap on better.
Yeah, I feel like I would rip the tongue off of these completely.
Hole 2, 412 feet. Looking at a par 4 this time.
Yeah, this one winds back to the left. Looks like a placement shot off the tee.
Sammy takes the box with that deep birdie putt on hole number 1. Gets himself right to that opening.
You're coming off the tee a little bit low.
By the way, that tree that you're seeing right there sort of at the corner that has the sign on it, that's not a Mando sign. Tough to see at a glance, but that is not a Mando. Craig putting a lot of power on that one. There's the tree I mentioned. He just hit it.
Yeah, that had a lot better height to get up the fairway with that incline. A lot better. Just unfortunately hits the tree. Nathan's going to be tucked in here. That's a hard little pitch out, but that's all he's going to have to try to get up and save par.
Actually, he'll have that for birdie.
Dang, he was closer than I thought.
We've got 3 in the circle. Let's see if we can go for all 4. All right. Everybody with a birdie opportunity.
Yeah, this is one of those tweener holes, being a par 4, but a placement shot. That just proves, if you play the hole like it's designed and get up there, you're going to have a great look for a birdie. Even, if you get off the fairway a little bit, as Nathan showed.
Oh, Sammy, banded. Great shot by Craig.
Yeah, Ben, good start, dude.
And Ben follows it up with another birdie.
Birdie start for Ben.
Nathan's showing us that it looks a little hot and humid in Florida.
Yeah, even these morning rounds, sometimes the sun almost feels more intense when it's low in the sky and can kind of get under those shade trees. Anyway, a par 3, 281 feet for our third hole of the round. There is OB left all the way up the length of this fairway.
Yeah, this hole is pretty much a straightforward shot. So sometimes you have to focus on just getting it out there to the front for a look versus how much angle you're going to put on the disc. It looks like these guys are kind of trying to really turn the disc towards the basket, and maybe a little closer if they just focus on a nice straight shot.
Yeah, as long as you can avoid that little spot where the OB sort of pinches in just short of the basket, which you'll see maybe in the corner of your frame here. As long as you can avoid that.
This is going to be close to it.
There, you get a much better look at the OB that runs up the length of the fairway right there. Ooh, manages to stay just in bounds. Thankfully, the OB widens out.
And it looks like Nathan was able to stay safe just right along the edge, so he's going to take his meter in relief.
Not trying to do too much there.
Ooh, it's a great look.
Oh, and he's
It's
fortunate.
a little bit of a roll away.
Not too much, though, just a couple of feet.
He wanted that turkey to start.
Ben, not the worse for wear after that little roll away. Scoring remains very tight amongst this foursome. Hole 4 is 246 feet through a late gap.
Yeah, that late gap has a really low ceiling. I would think the skip shot that hyzers off to the left would be the play here, but let's see what these guys do.
How about a forehand roller, Jen?
It really wasn't, out of my mind what I thought would be the shot here, but I was curious how thick the grass was. Being humid, being really green. I didn't know how much roll and speed these discs would get on that.
It looks to me like if you can stand it up, you'll be just fine. As opposed to, we've both been talking about how out in the open, you're not getting a lot of skip. But as long as you can stand your disc on edge.
This is that low skip shot that I was talking about.
Well done by Sammy there.
And sometimes it's harder to hit that gap close to the basket versus off the tee.
Yep.
So he was able to maintain his line to get it all the way up there. That was great.
These guys dealing with such a low ceiling.
That looks a little rough back in there. Pretty thick. We can barely see him, but hopefully he finds a little line to punch out. He doesn't have too far to go. There we go.
That'll do. Sammy with an opportunity to capitalize on that tee shot. Well done.
Nice putt.
Always great to follow up a bogey with a birdie, especially if it catches you right back up to your card. Hole 5, 236, plays over a small creek. I love holes like this, Jen. If it's going to be...
It's such a beautiful hole.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a great match between the distance of the hole and the difficulty of the, the pin location there.
We just want to throw this forward and hope that it punches through the well-protected basket.
You also can elect to purposefully play short of that creek.
Ooh, I think Sammy punched through. May have a look for another birdie.
He's not wet, I know that.
And that just comes out a little low, not giving it enough time to kind of try to come back at all. Nathan's shot has better height, just depending on where it kicks him.
Yeah, he hit about 3 tree trunks in rapid succession there. All right, so everybody with an obstructed opportunity here, especially Ben.
Yeah, that's a difficult approach. He's got to get out of his grouping and through another. So that was a hard lie for sure.
Draws metal.
Just not a big enough opening for him to really give a good look at that.
You were right, though. He did actually make the far side of the creek.
Sometimes you just got to throw it hard and see what happens. Oh, it's just a hair short.
Hole 6 back out in the open, 245 feet.
Yeah, again, the same kind of theme here. Basket's tucked just a little bit to the right, so this definitely seems like a forehand friendly course so far. And we have several that throw that on this grouping, so. Sammy goes out with the backhand. Doesn't really get the turn, but straight out forward. We'll have a pitch over for a birdie. Here's one of our good forehands. Plays it out nice and wide. And that's going to be a nice drive.
Craig kind of looking for a straight shot there, just wanted to hug the tree line. Manages to succeed, at least initially.
Yeah, sometimes that's a risky shot when you have so much open area out to the left. You don't really want to push that rough like a couple of these guys did. So a lot of open space to the left. Sometimes it's just easier to throw it out. Safer look like Sam did here.
I do that too, Sammy. I talk to myself just before I release putts.
That was a great putt for Nathan to get back on, or get him his first birdie.
That was first birdie of the day for Nathan. So Nathan, despite not birdieing anything until hole number 6, has actually managed to extend his lead by a stroke. He sits 2 clear of the rest of his card mates now. We made it to hole 7, our second par 4 of the day. This may be a little bit more straightforward as a par 4, as it is 437 feet long, with a somewhat obstructed area around the basket. So plays may be a little truer to a par 4.
Yeah, this looks like a beautiful hole. They just want a nice clean drive. It looks like the wind is picking up, so we'll see how that angle release and this wind affects their drives here.
Yeah, the wind really swirling all of a sudden. I noticed all week, Jen, when I was there in Orlando, we'd get these very small thunderstorms that might not be overhead, but they'd be nearby enough that when they collapsed, you'd get a sudden burst of wind, sometimes in a completely new direction and sometimes only lasting a couple of minutes. But, you know, if you're on course when that happens, you just have to deal with it.
Yeah, and it looks like it affected Craig's shot just a little bit there. He's still going to be out in the open, par 4. He'll be okay. Ben loves his rollers.
Yeah, he does. Forehand rollers specifically.
Yeah, and this turns out nicely for him. I guess that's one way maybe kind of to stay out of the wind, keep it on the ground.
All right, Craig puts himself in position for a birdie look.
Sammy follows suit. They're all just going to pitch up here.
Sammy's approach game is just excellent.
I love how casual Nathan is, which I guess explains the flip-flops. He's just like, no stress. I think if I tried to throw in flip-flops, I would rip them off in like the first hole. They would destroy, yeah.
Craig in for birdie. Well done. Sammy as well. Okay.
Yeah, these shorter par 4s, you know, there's no reason to really push the distance and get into trouble off the drive when you can just stay out in the open, nice clean approach, and tap in for a birdie like that. It's a smart way to play a short par 4 for sure.
We move on to number 8, 302 feet. You're looking directly at out of bounds just before we dogleg to the right. So distance control and angle control, both important. As the wind picks up
still breezy. Yeah, very breezy.
And I noticed the wind must be both a headwind and perhaps off from the left to the right, because all of these discs here are gonna just bank very sharply.
Definitely looks like they've got a crosswind to play with. Sammy likes staying out in the open. I like his approach. When it's hot and muggy, you don't want to get in that rough.
See, once again, the wind just sort of slamming the disc over there to the player's right. The same for Ben. He just manages to get through a bit further.
Yeah, that should give him a little bit of a look. That just doesn't have any kind of turn or hold for him that he needed. Sometimes if you switch your feet around when you're in the rough like that, it really does kind of open up your hips to where you can get a little more distance on those short punch outs.
Wow, Sammy was much closer to the OB line than I realized.
Does kind of sneak in there.
Oh.
Wow. Definitely took advantage of being the closest up there with a look.
45 feet or so. Notice the wind had just died down when he stepped up to putt that too. So.
Well, I put it back anyway. Thank you.
That was a great save by Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Sir.
Number 9, 225 feet. A little bit uphill, if you can believe it, here in Central Florida. And to a slightly elevated basket as well, so...
Yeah, they're going to finish off the round here with a more of a right-hand, backhand, finishing left placement. So we have a lot of forehand throwers. We'll see what they do on this hole.
Been a little too wide there. Also a little too long.
They haven't had many shots like this on the first, 9 holes, so...
Sammy throwing a blunt-nosed mid-range there. Judges the distance quite well.
And Craig gets up there as well.
Yeah. Craig, anything you can do, I can do better.
I love how this card just tries to continue to match each other, and they're all staying and battling so close.
No surprise, Ben opting for another forehand roller. Doesn't quite get the result that he's been getting earlier. And then with that upshot, this to save a bogey.
Ooh, that was a good save. You don't want to give up one more.
Not on a 225-foot hole. No, you don't.
Mm-mm.
Touch.
Craig looking to match Sammy. Well done. I didn't notice the basket is free swinging there, just a little bit.
Just a little
The base
bit.
isn't
They're
anchored.
supposed to have a chain. They're supposed to have a chain to the bottom as well.
There is.
Okay, I was going to say, I couldn't really see, but...
We wrap our opening 9 here of round 3 in the MA40 division. Nathan retaining his one-stroke lead just as we started. We'll be back soon with coverage of the back 9 here in round 3 at the 2021 AM Worlds in Orlando. Follow us at PDGA.